The black race is one of the branches of the human race. As a section of humanity, he occupies a position in the world at the present time most uncomfortable and most unfavorable. Black people are subjects of ostracism. It is sad that our humanity has shown us no more love, no greater sympathy than we're experiencing. Wheresoever you go throughout the world, the black man is discarded, is ostracized, is relegated to the lowest and things, social, political, and economical. This therefore suggests a problem and one that must be solved. We in this section of the world are not entirely free from this unkind and unsympathetic behavior among the groups or races around us. But since man has been placed on his own responsibility, whether he be black, white, or yellow, he must act on his own account. We will not unduly whine or complain, but reason among ourselves and see what can be done to remedy this state of affairs. Life is a conflict. You have to fight your way through it, whether you will it or not. Those of us who fight most stubbornly live, unto them go the laurels, the palms, and the triumph of our civilization and world. We unfortunately have not been trained to the truths of life, paradoxically so. May I say something to you tonight to give you a true understanding of yourself, so that the same glory and success attained by others who understand themselves would also be yours. Man with a true knowledge of himself is a superb and supreme creature of creation. When Mother Nature created man, she deprived him of nothing. He was given the faculty of understanding all things around him, and that faculty of understanding has not been taken away from him. None of his senses have been taken away from him. So there is no excuse for the black man because of what has been provided for him. History is the guidepost of a race. It's the inspiration of future generations either to stand still or go forward, to revenge or be revenged. For 250 years, we heard this cry in the grave, Garvey, we have waited for this day and time. It's not because of how we look. If we must be strong, we must come together. If we must come together, we can only do so through the system of organization. Because the first black heavyweight boxing champion of the world was Jack Johnson. He was a strong man. He was strong wherever he went. He'd beaten his white opponents in Australia. He'd beaten them in the United States. And he could beat them wherever they presented themselves. The African race could be like Jack Johnson. If it is strong in Africa, then it could be strong everywhere. For 250 years, we have struggled under the burden and rigors of slavery. We were maimed, we were brutalized, we were ravaged in every way. We are men. We have hopes, we have passions, we have feelings, we have desires just like any other race. The cries raised all over the world of Canada for the Canadians, of America for the Americans, of England for the English, of France for the French, of Germany for the Germans. Do you think it unreasonable that we, the blacks of the world, should raise a cry of Africa for the Africans? The Negro is a man. We represent the new Negro. His back is not yet against the wall. We do not want his back against the wall, because that would be a peculiar and desperate position. We do not want him there. It's because of this that we are asking for a fair compromise. Where the Belgians have control of the Belgian Congo, which they cannot use. They have not the resources to develop, nor the intelligence. The French have more territory than they can develop. There are certain parts of Africa in which you cannot live at all. So it is for you to come together and give us a United States of Africa. We are not going to be a race without a country. God never intended it, and we are not going to abuse God's confidence in us as men. We are men, human beings, capable of the same acts as any other race, possessing under fair circumstances the same intelligence as any other race. Africa's been sleeping, not dead, only sleeping. Today Africa is walking around not only on our feet, but on our brains. You can enslave, as was done for 300 years, the bodies of men. You can shackle the hands of men. You can shackle the feet of men. You can imprison the bodies of men. But you cannot shackle or imprison the minds of men. Dive down, black men, and dig. Reach up, black men and women, and pull all nature's knowledge to you. Turn you around and make a conquest of everything, north and south, east and west, and then when you will have wrought well, you will have merited God's blessings. And as you bow down to the white man today, so will other races bow down to you and call you a race of masters because of the superiority of your minds and your achievements. God made man Lord of his creation, gave him possession and ownership on the world. And you have been so darn lazy that you've allowed the other fellow to run away with the whole world, and now he's bluffing you and telling you that the world belongs to him and that you have no part in it. I don't have to apologize to anybody for being black, because God Almighty knew exactly what he was doing when he made me black. You race of cowards, you race of imbeciles, you race of good-for-nothings. If you cannot do what other nations have done, what other races have done, then you had better die. Can we do it? We can do it. Because any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Let me say that again. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we've decided to find out leadership of our own to make ourselves free men. Babylon did it. Assyria did it. France under Napoleon did it. Britain under William Pitt, Earl of Chatham did it. America under George Washington did it. Africa with 400 million black people can do it. If you cannot do it, if you are not prepared to do it, then you had better die. Because when the history of mine is complete, future generations shall have in their hands the guide by which they shall know the sins of the 20th century. I know, and I know you to believe in time, but we shall wait patiently for 200 years, if need be, to face our enemies through our posterity. In life I shall be the same, in death I shall be a terror to the foes of African liberty. If death has power, then count on me to be the real Marcus Garvey I would like to be. If I may come in a plague or a pestilence, or as God would have me, then be assured that I shall never desert you and make your enemies triumph over you. Will I not go to hell 1,000,000 times for you? If I die in Atlanta, my work shall only just begin. But I shall live in the physical or the spiritual to see the day of Africa's glory. Look for me in the world when there is a storm. Look for me all around you. For God's grace and blessings, I shall come back and bring with me countless millions of black men and women who have died in America, who have died in the West Indies, and who have died in Africa to aid you in the life for liberty, freedom, and life. The world today has gone drunk and crazy with its power. And by such true injustice, fraud, and lies have crushed the unfortunate. But if I'm apparently crushed by the system of influence and misdirected power, my cause shall rise again to plague the conscience of the corrupt. For this I'm happy to suffer and even die. For I will write the history of the millions that are coming and leave to posterity to reckon with a host for the deeds of their fathers. If others laugh at you, return the laughter to them. If they honor you, return the compliment with equal force. They have no more right to dishonor, disrespect, and disregard your feeling in manhood than you have in dealing with them. Honor them when they honor you. Disrespect and disregard them when they vilely treat you. Their arrogance is but skin deep assumption that has no foundation in morals or in law. But they have sprung from the same family tree of obscurity as we have. Their history is as rude in its primitiveness as ours. When they were embracing the arts and sciences on the banks of the Nile, their ancestors were drinking blood out of the skulls of the human dead and eating raw meat from wild beasts for centuries, even as they have accused us of doing. Their cannibalism was more prolonged than ours. When we had reached the noonday of progress, they were still living in holes with bats, rats, and other insects and animals. After we had unfathomed the mystery of the stars and reduced the heavenly constellation to minute and regular calculus, they were still backwoods men living in ignorance and in blatant darkness. The world today is indebted to us for the benefits of civilization. They stole our arts and sciences from Africa. So why should we be ashamed of ourselves?